Welcome to another episode of Live with the Glitter Practitioner, and that is me, Dr. Nupi Aurora. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. Do let me know in the comments below where you're tuning in from, because I always love to go back and read the comments and reply. So for those of you who don't know me, I am the Glitter Practitioner, and I am a physician. I'm a doctor, a general practitioner is what we say in the UK. And I'm also a spiritual and transformation life coach. And my passion is helping, showing, guiding, empowering either my patients or my clients to really understand their health needs from mind, body, and soul perspective, and how to realign them, recognize when they're out of balance because your body talks to you, and really radiate from within. That's what I call your physessence. It's your inner light, which is unique to everybody because we're all unique. That is my passion. And I have created a program called Find Your Fizz and Flourish, which is based on the framework of my F-list, which came from a deeper understanding of health needs, my personal story, which was burnout, which was 12 years ago. And that's how I combine whole person, heart-centered care with the science of medicine as well. And that's when you really start to see shift and healing and transformation. So what do I mean by find your fizz and flourish? I think the best way to show this is through my brand story, actually, which was created by Devon James Stinston, who has done an amazing job. And this makes me cry every single time. So please bear with me on that. But it gives you an idea of really what it feels like to go through this process, through the F-list, and really find your fizz and start flourishing again, because that's exactly what you deserve. Unapologetically living your life, truly. So, Mr. Producer, please could you play my brand story?
Follow the light through the storm. And this is not a light that warns, it's a light that forms on the pathway ahead. So you can maneuver around disaster instead of getting stopped by the obstacles. It just takes changing the obstacles. And then the impossible turns to possible. And then the storm lifts. You're no longer adrift. Breathe, focus, you've got this. Ahead you see a figure, a kind soul, and on the inside it feels like you might glow. Your endless cycles of cyclones have been turned to a breeze that just slightly blows. You're adorned with glitter, where you literally feel like a kid again. And this is when you realize how much of your life you've missed. And then you talk more with Dr. Nupi Aurora, who will holistically change your aura, where you and the new you won't be like strangers. No, you'll be like friends. Because this whole process is simply life-changing. So if you're feeling frazzled and you want to find your fizz and dazzle, then book a call with Dr. Nupi Aurora by messaging her right here on LinkedIn.
It's very soothing. I find it very soothing. So today's guest, I'm going to bring him straight on. Please welcome Mr. Harry Turner.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here. What's going on, Doc?
Hi, and thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
I'm humbled and honored to be here. I'm ready to see this supernova get popping. So yeah, I'm ready. I was
I love
excited.
it. Come on. So, Harry, I'm going to let you tell our viewers what you do and what the L.I.T effect is.
Okay, what I do is multiple things there. There's multiple layers to what I do, but I'll try to keep it real short. On one end, I am a therapist. I'm a licensed professional, licensed clinical social worker, certified clinical trauma professional, certified integrative mental health professional, and a few other letters also, heart-centered hypnotherapist. So in there, I have my clinical setting. What I realized through the clinical setting and seeing people one-on-one is that for someone to go to therapy, they have to want it, which usually means they're in a crisis state. They've tried all these other options, and at this point they said, what the hell? I'll just give therapy a try and see what happens. But also, no matter what their demographic was, no matter what background or their socioeconomic status was, we were all dealing and trying to grapple with the same pains and fears. And I had a strong desire to want to take this message to the broader public, also at the encouragement, honestly, of a lot of the clients that I've had. They said, you need to be doing YouTube videos, man. You need to be doing, like, you need to be out there in social media. More people need to hear, more people need to understand what you're saying. And so after years of encouragement, I finally created the School of Outliers, which is separate from my clinical practice. And now I am a life coach, and I've created a process called the Lit effect. And it came from, honestly, all of my experience, because even though I don't operate as a therapist in the School of Outliers, I can't divorce myself from what it is that I know. So I combine what I've learned through different certifications and the life coaching space, because I have roughly about 4 or 5 in the life coaching space as well. I combine that with the experience I've already had in therapy, and also my spiritual understandings, my spiritual teachings that I've integrated and formed a new understanding of, into a process called the Lit effect. And it's a 5-step process. First you begin with acceptance, then clarity, because you can't change what you don't accept. And clarity doesn't come in until you accept what it is that you're refusing to accept, because whatever you resist persists. And so from acceptance comes in clarity. Once you get into clarity, now you can really begin to see what is truly you, the false self, versus what is the inherently you, your authentic self. Because my mission statement is to assist others in developing the audacity to live unapologetically authentic. So it's all about you becoming your most authentic self. And so once you go into from clarity, you go into reconditioning. From reconditioning, envisioning, from envisioning, choosing. Reconditioning is where we really take hold of what Bruce Lee said in the second level of self-mastery, which is, he said, I'm not afraid of the man that knows 1,000 kicks and practices it once. I'm afraid of the man that knows 1 kick but practices it 1,000 times. So that man right there can kick a hole in somebody's chest. And I understand what Bruce was saying. Everything that we do is a practice, and whatever we practice, we become. It's not that we don't know, because many of us spiritual seekers, we know a whole lot. We read a whole lot of books. We're familiar with Joe Dispenza and people like that. But the 4 Agreements and so many other spiritual books that really help to change a lot of people's lives and perspectives on things. But what happens when it stays at perspective? You see, you don't get an understanding. You don't really get that up level until you take what it is that you'll gain insights with your previous experiences, and then you integrate that into a daily practice. Now you're getting some understanding. So it's not about finding something new to break you out of the habit of stuckness. It's really about going deeper within, because if you go deep enough, no matter where you stand at, we all reach the same core on this planet. And so the physical is a manifestation of spiritual truths. If you can understand that, then you can understand that you already have everything you need. You just need to search deeper.
Wow.
Wow.
Yes. I'm not often, stuck for words, and I'm literally going, wow.
Is that a good wow, or is this wow? Let's do
Wow.
this.
Do the thing.
Oh.
Yes. That was one of those moments. And you can do a clap one as well, actually.
Oh.
Yes,
I got
that's
it.
what I was looking for. That was a wow. No, seriously, it's incredible. I love what you said. There are so many things that you said, and I was transfixed, seriously, by your voice and by what you were saying. The deeper level, really going deeper. That's the bit that really caught my ears and from here. And it's so true what you say, because the deeper you go, the deeper you understand yourself, your needs, the deeper the understanding, and then you integrate that into your daily life or your work, for example. That's when you start evolving, because you've learned, you've gone there, and then you're bringing it through and showing and sharing with others. That's how I'm receiving it.
It's like knowing how to use a dial-up phone, but then all of a sudden smartphones are introduced, and now you have to learn how to use a smartphone, emails, and all these other apps, downloading apps, and what so on and so forth. The issue is that we start off scientifically. Our default state is the hunting and gathering state of fight and flight. And so in fight or flight, that's why we wake up with chronic fears and chronic angerness, and we begin to practice being miserable. And what I mean by practice being miserable is that we think miserable thoughts. We think about our don't wants, and that's the hunting and gathering default, because during the first 400 million years, the last 400 million years or so that we were in that state, we had to think about what it is that we didn't want. We didn't want to die. We didn't want a bird to like bite our head off or some other grotesque thing, or we didn't want to starve to death, because again, we're thinking about, like this is like cave living, hunting and gathering time. Well, now we're in a completely different time and age where we no longer have that. We in the information age, but our ego or our mind is still set to that antiquated hunting and gathering state. And so we all need a software update, and we have to constantly update our software, because the mind is the software, the brain is the hardware. The software was designed to adapt, because we are the species that have the highest, well, us being higher sentient beings, we're the species that should be able to, that was designed, not should be, but designed to adapt to anything. And so our mind has to constantly update ourselves. But do we know how to do that? Do we know how to update the software? And that's the issue. That's when we end up getting stuck, because we end up using the same old mental faculties, going down the same old, making the same old choices with the same old people, having the same old experiences, and end up with those same old familiar feelings. And you can switch out the people, but still end up in the same situation, because we wrestle not against flesh and blood. We're talking about energy. We're energetic beings. That's another paradigm shift that you got to begin to move to in order to really understand what it is to live in truth, because that's what the Lit effect is about. Lit stands for L.I.T, live in truth. And these lit factors, acceptance, clarity, reconditioning, envisioning, and then choosing, these are all lit factors that then empower you to have this lit effect where you truly allow your light to shine. Because a lot of us have been hiding our light underneath this shade of fears and worries and not enoughness and some trance of unworthiness. We have to update the software and begin to operate from that space, because until the unconscious becomes conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. That's Dr. Young.
Yes. And that mirrors actually the work I do or have created with my F list. And the critter chatter, that's what I call it. It's that negative, the internal voice that's critical. It is, it's not very compassionate towards yourself, and it's fear-based essentially. And you can, what's it hiding? What's behind the fear? Is it shame? Is it all these patterns of behavior that you try and therefore mask, and you try and protect yourself? And that is how I equate that is, it's your shadow self, your sort of the negative connotations. And I guess what I teach and guide through my F list is that it's a part of you. It doesn't need to define you. And it's when you understand the triggers, that fight, flight feeling, what is it you're feeling? It's naming that feeling, and then, okay, where's the evidence for this? And How can I reframe this? What else could this be showing me? What's really deeper down behind this emotional reaction or feeling? And then staying curious and delving. And then when you do bring it to the light, you can kind of go, that's my first F. Fucking off. Oh, F is off. Straight to focus and breathe, which is the breath work. And then you go through the F's, obviously. But yeah, it's very similar, actually. And it's when you learn this that your lit effect, it's the same, it's shining your true authentic self. And you can shift your way through that. I love the parallels. It's incredible, actually.
Yes, and it's of course, no surprise to me. And thank you, Miss Felicia Miller Johnson. I see you down there with a comment. But and light warriors like us,
Yeah.
like Miss Felicia Miller Johnson, we are teaching. I mean, think about what you're doing. We're talking about becoming your most authentic self. We're not talking about or teaching people to come our way, because that's antithetical. No teacher can teach you except that which is half asleep in the dawning of your being. And so a true teacher leads you into your own knowledge and not so much into theirs. I know a lot of things, but it's about you understanding who you are authentically so you can move back to what is inherent to you as you shed off and release yourself from the limiting beliefs that keep you operating in what you've inherited, which is fear-based untruths about who you are, and so it's very much the same process. Again, my favorite author, he says, seek not the path to God, but rather seek to find God on your path. And I tell you the same thing. It's not about my path or me, trying to get anybody to come in and do my way. No, my way is for you to figure out your way. That's the only way I have. It's about you living authentically. But please, Doc.
Yes, that's right. And everybody is unique. So it's not about saying my way, do this because I do it. Everybody's unique. I can give you a framework. I can show you. I can share what it is I've learned and studied, obviously. And then it's down to taking that ownership, isn't it? And figuring it out what works for you. And there's no right nor wrong, but it's, I guess, when you're in tune with your needs, you're in tune with yourself, you've expanded your awareness, all of a sudden your perspective can broaden. And, the possibilities then become limitless, essentially. And that is where you get the choice and you can change. And yeah, sorry, you were going to say something.
No, I wasn't trying to cut you off. Were you at a time point?
And that's where the transformation, that's the magic of healing and transformation. It's you have the power to choose. You get to govern what happens next. And that's the beauty of this. And I know when I've worked with clients and patients, when somebody really, really understands that, it's like this light bulb going off. And that's what I see, the light, the glitter. I see that coming back into somebody's eyes, and it's magical because all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, I can do this. I've chosen to do this. And I can keep changing. And we're not meant to be stagnant. We're always meant to be evolving. That's the whole thing. And it's what you said. It's what did you say? Upgrading, software upgrades.
Yes. Understanding your algorithm and then updating it, and understanding what is bad code that's been written in your algorithm based off of things that were not spaces that were not affirming to you, where you felt a loss of autonomy, where you didn't understand certain things happening, because that's what brings on the shame. And then the shame, we try to protect ourselves with that shame by coming up with all of these rules for ourselves on how to govern ourselves. And that's where the limiting beliefs come in. I believe, just like you, that we must show up for life, That's how you live authentically. You can't live authentically unless you show up for life. And so a big part of this process, again, because we know, so why is it that we don't do what it is that we know? Many of us have not practiced the skill of being courageous and being confident in what it is that we know, because we have a misunderstanding of what that is. Again, courage is not that you don't have any fears. Courage is the ability or the choice to move forward in spite of being afraid. And yes, you will be afraid to be your authentic self in a world that tells you to be a carbon copy of everything but you. A world that constantly tells you about how not to show up for life, how you need to be this, or you need to look this way, or you need to sound this way. Yes, it's going to be very scary, but freedom exists on the other side of your fears. Again, I say sailboats are safest at the harbor, but they were never built to remain docked. You got to set your sails and go out there and see what life is there for you, because you have something that only you can bring into beingness, and we need that gift. Yes, we all contribute to the collective well-being of this universe, but each and every last one of us, but especially you have something that only you can bring into beingness. And so we need you to get your false self out of the way so that you can show up for life. This is why I teach, even when it comes down to this thing of establishing boundaries, even though I'm grateful for the mental health industry and mental health field bringing it out there, because so many people needed to understand how to put limits around things. But I teach, don't let go of this concept of establishing boundaries to my people, but understand, for me, it's not establishing boundaries, it's acknowledging limits, because my boundaries represent no more than the, let's say, property lines of my yard. If somebody dog comes and tries to crap in my yard, my property lines ain't gonna say anything to that person nor that dog. You see, my property lines never protect me, but we've been using, or people have been erroneously using or thinking this thing about establishing boundaries is about protecting yourself. See, that's fear-rooted activity. But if you acknowledge your limits, basically what you're saying is that this is my territory, and beyond it, it becomes unhealthy for me. It's not about the other in that space. It's beyond this point. It's unhealthy for me. And so I'm going to choose, because since I've learned or begin practicing to choose what is best for me, or what is healthiest for me, or what is right for me, or walking my righteous path, I'm going to choose to remain within my limits. And if need be, I will step up and govern. You see, I can go outside and deter somebody from crapping on somebody's dog from crapping in my yard, but that requires me to show up. And so much of our philosophies and doctrines in any field have been around doing the least and not showing up for life, to the extent that now we don't know how to show up for ourselves anymore. That requires courage. And so a big part of the lit process is developing and cultivating that courage. Yes, you will stumble, but understand, even when you stumble, you still stumble forward. Confidence is the ability, not that you're going to get it perfect, but understanding that even when you do make errors, because you will, that eventually that supposed L or pain, that will be no more than a lesson, and you will build on top of that. So in any route, any experience that you have, be it pleasurable or painful, you still are winning. You can't lose. The game is rigged. The game is rigged in your favor. Life is always conspiring in your favor. And when you begin to acknowledge that, you stop focusing so much on what you think it is, because the more you know, the more you realize that you don't know. So if I don't know, do I even know enough to declare this thing as good or bad?
Yeah.
I'm declaring good or bad based off of my limited understanding of what good and bad is. But often I understand that a curse is no more than a blessing in disguise. So before I make a premature judgment on what this experience is, I'm just going to accept this experience as is until I understand what to do with it. But one thing I know, no matter what, is that life is always conspiring in my favor. So no matter what it feels like, I know in some way, shape, form, life is conspiring in my favor.
Yeah, always.
Sister, I don't.
If we need a thing, do something. Seriously, amazing. We've got some comments coming up, actually. So Matthew Ziegler, who's joined us, I hope I've pronounced that right. What is the best way to go about repairing the wrongs you have perpetrated on other people? And is that important for healthy boundary maintenance?
Okay, so two-part question. Wait, is this you, doctor? Or I mean, do you want me to take this, or you got it?
You take it, and I can add in.
Okay, so I'll take the first part. What is the best way to go about repairing the wrongs you have perpetuated on other people? First, by forgiving yourself. It always begins with self. If you forgive yourself, then you'll understand what to do next. Because if you're trying to, let's say, reconcile with another party, then the giver of that forgiveness must have a willing recipient. And so not everybody's on the level to be a willing recipient of that forgiveness for there to be a reconciliation with the other person. But before you seek reconciliation with the other person, I suggest that you reconcile with yourself if you have not first. It always begins with us because you can't give what you don't have. And so you
Yeah.
have to give yourself forgiveness first. When you do that, more clarity will come in, understand exactly how to move forward. But don't give to someone who ain't willing to receive. All that's going to do is create more challenges, because you're already in we tend to typecast and categorize interactions into people. The mind, the ego does that. So in the hunting and gathering state of fight and flight, they're not going to take those efforts, even if they're benevolent, as something that is that they're willing to accept.
Mm.
The second part, and is that important for healthy boundary maintenance? The repairing of wrongs, is that important for healthy boundary maintenance? I believe what's important for healthy boundary maintenance is repairing the wrongs with yourself. Again, if you forgive yourself and you acknowledge your own limits, and by doing that, you ask yourself, what is it that I need right now?
Yes.
So you begin by becoming a master of your own needs, because your needs is going to let you know where your limits are. When you
Yep.
begin to move outside of that, or you're not doing what's necessary to give yourself what it is that you need, then you violated your own limits. If you govern your own territory, you never have to worry about how you should or what is right to govern other people's territory, because they welcome you into that space and you want to know exactly what it is, what your purpose is there for. The same way that Doc invited me on here. I could have tried to, jump in the crowd and then, hey, Doc, buzz me in. But no, there was a process there. There was a meeting, then scheduling an appointment, then discussing the show. And, now I'm here, so we got to honor the process. We got to put aside what it is that we want and understand what it is that we need and accept what is right in front of us.
Yes.
I hope that
Absolutely.
I hope that answers the question. I mean, Doc, you got anything,
Yeah, I was just gonna add that what I was gonna say in the middle was understand yourself, understand what's behind the wrong that somebody has done to somebody else, for example. And it's truly understanding where did that come from, and seeing it from your perspective, going in, what perhaps what unmet need is there that this has created something like an attack, or a verbal or whatever on somebody else. What unmet need is there within you that has led to that behavior? And then the more you understand yourself, you're going to understand other people. Essentially, that's what I was going to say.
Perception is projection. Perception is projection. So when I look at the other, if I'm triggered by something I'm observing, the ego observes, then for me, a trigger is no more than a trailhead for a deeper understanding of oneself. You see, no one can push your buttons unless you give them the controller first.
Yeah.
And in life, with all of these collisions, there is no choice, but there's going to be painful collisions as well as pleasurable ones, because much of our growth is growing pains, not growing pleasures. And anything not growing is dead. So we're going to be growing to the day that we die. These things must happen. We must accept the seasons of our heart the same way we accept the seasons that pass over our field. The sweet ain't sweet without the bitter. So forgive yourself. You only did what you did because you knew not. In my faith, it says, one of the Christ, before he died, he said, forgive them, for they know not what they do, not because of what they did, but because they knew not, because ignorance and freedom can't coexist. So forgive yourself for knowing not. Now that you know better, you move forward with doing better. And that is the best form of repayment you can give for any wrongs being done. You move forward with that truth.
Yes. Learn, grow, evolve, pass it on, is what I like to say. I couldn't help it. I'm so sorry. My goodness, we've run out of time. I can't believe this. It's not fair. Harry, you're gonna have to come on again, please, please, please. I feel we have barely just started this conversation. Actually, I honestly. So
Indeed.
please, I would love you to come on for a part 2, 3, 4, and maybe I can just ask my wonderful producer to see if I can have an extended episode or something. I think that's what's needed, really. We'll see. I will talk to him.
Let me know.
So Harry, just very, very quickly, because I really want to get this bit in. Tell me anything exciting, anything new coming up that you would like to showcase.
Aha, that's the cue. Masterclass. I've the Upgrade Your Algorithm Masterclass, and you can check that out at becomingoutlier.com/masterclass.
I'm laughing because Russell goes, if you're nice. I'm always nice, for heaven's sake. Jesus, creatures. Sorry, Harry, to interrupt you.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah.
But the masterclass is basically about upgrading your algorithm. I want to begin to, because I talk the way I talk, I flow the way I flow. So the masterclass is basically so that the public can get just a little sample of how I operate, so that people that want to work with me, they know what they're getting into. It really is like how deep down the rabbit hole would you like to go when you're dealing with me?
That sounds amazing. Might just come along and join. I'm thinking, oh wow, I can add in a bit of the F's here, or I can do something similar. Love it. And how can people get hold of you, Harry?
Yes, you can get a hold of me at becomingoutlier.com, /links. If you do, my email is harry@becomingoutlier.com, but also you can sign up to be part of the Outlier tribe at becomingoutlier.com. And also have free meditations. I have a free meditation subscription. So I think right now I may have like a 20 or so meditations up there, but I'm constantly recording and putting more meditations up. So if you'd like to get some free meditation, your free meditation game on, you can sign up for my subscription online as well.
Fantastic. I've signed up. I signed up ages ago, actually.
And if you have any trouble, because you have to download the Kajabi app, let me just say that you have to download the Kajabi app. So if you have any difficulties with trying to download the meditations, just shoot me an email.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Doc.
Oh, don't. It's fine. You don't need to call me Doc. Call me
I like it. I like it though.
Oh, okay, fine. That's fine. Oh, you just go the Glitter Practitioner. Let's have a few more just before you go. Oh, okay.
And
I need to have that in my life, seriously. Constantly.
I love it.
Be pressing it every single question. Oh, it's the little things that make me very happy, clearly. Oh, thank you so much. Please don't go anywhere, because I'll come and join you in the green room as I wrap up.
All right. Thank you. Thank y'all. It's been a blessing.
Oh, gosh, we need more. We barely even touched the surface there. How incredible. And just, I honestly could listen to Harry. I don't think I've been that quiet, actually, during an interview. I'm just like, wow, incredible. Thank you for joining me for this amazing episode. And I really hope you have enjoyed it too. Do keep tuning in, as you know, every Monday, 8 p.m. GMT, live with the Glitter Practitioner, which is 12 noon Pacific Daylight Time. And I'm working on my winks still. And then you can also find me on, obviously, LinkedIn, which is where I'm mainly at, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook, all under the Glitter Practitioner. And if you want to work with me, go through what does Find Your Fizz and Flourish mean, just book a call with me. My first call is a discovery call, essentially, and I call it Chats with Dr. Nupi. And we can see what your needs are, what it is you might need. You might not need the whole program. It could be part of it. But just reach out. if any of this resonates, reach out. And thank you for joining me, and I shall see you again next week. Bye.